Okay, if you are joining us for a meditation today, please grab lots and lots and lots of props. Invitation to do this meditation in a restorative pose for creating a little sense of security. So I'm going to show you how I set up, and then feel free to just do your own thing. That's okay. This is just a little bonus that might help you get into the meditation. So the pose that we do, we have something behind us. So I have a big bolster here, and I have another big bolster where my leg is going to go. So, but you can place the bigger second bolster on top of the bottom leg, or you can let the bottom leg be long or bent next to it. You bring your head down and something in underneath your head. So you're lying on whichever side feels good. The real idea, the concept of this pose is to get as comfortable as possible, but try and have, and even so for me, this bolster isn't up high enough, so I would prop something in underneath it. I want as much compression, so compression, feeling of comfort, something to hold on to, and something pressing up against my stomach and chest. So I'm holding the bolster, I can feel the bolster touching my chest and my stomach. And my top leg is just resting on it comfortably. My bottom leg is straight. Sometimes I leave it bent behind me. Wherever I feel most comfortable, you're going to be here a while. So take some time to set yourself up. Really get positioned and comfortable. You be super, super, super comfortable. I'm going to see if I can track down my friend. So 2 bolsters, whatever pillows you have. And then I'm going to set up to seat. Huggy, come here. Taking your time to really get landed and comfortable. Take your time to adjust your props. If you want to stay on your back, go ahead and stay on your back. But that restorative lying down pose can be extremely beneficial. I'm just going to catch my friend so she's not walking around while we're talking. So, as you're starting to land in the room, please take some time to take in the sound. So we're trying to do turning off fight or flight right now, and take some time to hear the sounds that we have in our room. So the rock climbers are downstairs. They're using their drills, kind of loud, so you might hear that coming through on the mics. So take some time to take in those sounds, almost as if you're telling your fight or flight system what is around you so that it can know what to feel is, just there, not something to be concerned about. Take a moment to really look around you, get to know your surroundings so that you can start to really feel more and more comfortable. Know what is around you as you start to land in the room. And as you begin to head towards turning off fight or flight, it can be helpful to say to yourself right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. I can turn off and take a little break. So for this meditation, we're going to try and get as soft and still as possible. But please give yourself permission. If your body is talking to you and telling you that it needs to move something, don't beat yourself up. Just gently, softly move, and then return to just doing a little scan, checking for any places that after you moved, you didn't add any more tension back into the body. So starting to soften the eyes closed and arrive in the moment. Trying to let go of all of the moments that came before and all of the moments that have yet to happen, and just be present in this body, in this moment, in this time, right now. We're going to gently work through the layers of the body, work through the physical layers, then into the mind, into the energetic layers, and then work our way towards the center, to our bliss center. So just gently follow my voice, and don't beat yourself up if you get lost or if you feel you've trailed away or fallen asleep. Trust your body to do what it needs to do, and be okay with if you do fall asleep. Maybe that's precisely what you need right now. Another thing too that often worries people or distresses people or wakes them up is you start to get gurglings in your stomach because fight or flight is beginning to turn off and your stomach is beginning to digest. That's a wonderful thing, especially if it's not been doing it for a while. So celebrate any belly rumbles, any gurgling, celebrate that. That's a wonderful thing. So begin to land in the physical body and start scanning. So what's going on? If you're laying on your side, start to really connect with the bolster against your stomach or the pillow, whatever you have against your stomach. Starting to feel that sense of comfort and being comforted and protected. Maybe your blanket is over you. Feel the weight of the blanket. Start to feel the sensation of being supported by the ground. Letting your muscles feel supported. Letting your bones land on the ground. Let the muscles let their work go. Take a check-in with the feet. Soften the toes. Soften around the knees. Soften the legs. Soften any gripping in the torso. Soften around the chest. Soften the neck. Soften the hands, especially any gripping in the hands, any fists or clamping. Soften the hands, maybe even wiggle the fingers and make sure they really are soft. Soften the muscles of the face. Soften around the eyes. Soften around the mouth. And then find yourself in your center of your mind, right in the center of the brain, as if checking in with the thoughts. What's the mind doing today? How is it feeling? Notice what is present here. Trying to notice without judgment. Check in with the breath. Try to soften into the breath. Letting the breath kind of roll in and roll out without control. And if you struggle with observing the breath without controlling the breath, see if you can just start to say rolling in and rolling out gently to yourself in your head. Rolling in, rolling out. begin to just give a little teeny intentional push of the exhale. So without muscles, just thinking about as your breath rolls in, it rolls in. And as your breath rolls out, imagine it not coming out through your nose, but pushing it out through the top of your head. As if you're pushing it right through your skull, trying to soften, send any restrictions in the mind out through the top of the head. And it can be helpful if you like to talk yourself through it to say, breathing in fresh and releasing out things no longer needed. Imagine the top of your head just softening and things no longer needed inside the mind, just gently being swept away by the breath. And then we'll do a little awareness practice, just walking around the physical body and trying to bring our mind to focus only on sensation in that part of the physical body without letting it move. So we're just going to send our focus around the body as if we're just becoming that body part for a moment. So begin with the right hand. Find sensation in the right thumb. First finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Palm of the right hand. Back of the right hand. Wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit. Travel down the right rib cage, a rib at a time. Find the space between the rib cage and the hip. Right hip, thigh, kneecap, lower leg, ankle, heel, arch of the right foot, ball of the right foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. And then send your awareness entirely into the right side of the body, as if turning on awareness to each and every cell on the right side of the body. Gently shift your awareness over to the left hand. Find the left hand thumb. First finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, back of the left hand, palm of the left hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit. Travel down the rib cage a rib at a time. Find the space between the rib cage and the hip. Left hip, thigh, kneecap, lower leg, ankle, heel, arch of the left foot, ball of the left foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Become entirely aware of the left side of the body. As if turning on the lights on the left side of the body. And then again, land in that center point of the mind. Notice that you can notice your thoughts. And then perhaps notice a little space in between the thoughts. And then we'll work on experiencing the sense of opposites. So begin to imagine your body is heavy. Imagine the sense of being so heavy, as if your bones were made of lead. Feeling heavier and heavier, more and more deeply grounded. Your feet are heavy. Your legs are heavy. Your arms, your fingers, your head, everything feels heavier and heavier. You're so attached to the ground that if a storm were to blow in, couldn't possibly budge. Deeply rooted and grounded and attached, heavy a sense of heaviness. And then let that sensation begin to drift away. And fill up the body with the opposite sensation. Begin to feel lighter and lighter and softer and softer. Begin to feel like your toes are filled with air. Your legs, your hands, your torso, feeling softer and softer and lighter and lighter. Perhaps even feeling like you're floating away. And then begin to see if you can experience both of these sensations at the same time. Sense of lightness and a sense of heaviness at the same time. Let that float away. We're going to work on the energetic sense of the body. We're going to imagine moving energy through our body using our imagination. We're going to begin to imagine that as we're laying here, we're surrounded in a bubble of energy. You can give your energy a color, texture, temperature, but just begin to imagine a bubble completely surrounding you, feeling completely covered and protected by this ball of energy. And as you start to connect with your ball of energy, imagine that it contains precisely what you need in this moment. You don't need to cognitively understand that. Just imagine that it contains what you need. It's a supportive and compassionate, kind, loving bubble. Perhaps you can even imagine beginning to feel it on that layer just above your skin. Moving and pulsating with fresh, healing energy. And then return to that concept of having a very soft top of the head. A place in our skull that's soft when a baby is born. The crown of our head. And imagine it begins to soften and soften. And as it does, it's beginning to draw in that energy. And slowly trickling down through our head. Down our spine, all the way to the tailbone, And then slowly trickling all the way down to the tips of the toes. Slowly trickling down the arms to the tips of the fingers. As if gently refreshing and recharging every cell in the body. Begin to connect with a sense of being cared for, nurtured, protected by this bubble of protection. And then gently with our imagination, we're going to imagine drawing this bubble of energy down our spine and then sending back up our spine anything no longer needed. And again, try not to be too cognitive. Try not to attach to a memory or a thing or a burden you're trying to let go of. Just connect with this concept of drawing fresh, compassionate, healing energy down the spine to the tailbone, and then sending whatever is no longer needed back up. And whatever helps you connect with this concept, giving it a color, giving it some kind of imagery, like a little racetrack up and down your spine. Drawing in fresh and releasing what's held. Drawing in fresh, releasing what's no longer needed. Whenever the mind distracts and tries to draw you away from this imagery, just gently check in on any tension that might have formed in the physical body and coax your imagination back to this imagery of drawing in energy down your spine and sending out what's no longer needed up through the crown of the head. And then gently return to the image of your protective bubble, completely surrounding you as if you're wrapped in a little cocoon of protection. And then we're going to begin our journey of imagination and journey deeply inward. And we're going to imagine that there's a little tiny miniature version of ourselves. And it's going to begin by sitting right at the top of the spinal cord, looking back towards the eyes, as if you could pull up a little lounge chair and sit at the middle of your brain. Look back at the eyes as if your thoughts were a TV screen. Observe whatever is present here. As if you're a tiny little version of yourself looking back at the thoughts. Try to imagine you're laying back and chilling and just observing. No reaction, no judgment, just observation, seeing the thoughts and the imagery and the firings of the brain, as if you're just a little bit further away from them. You're not riding the waves, you're not tangled up, just right in the center, looking back. And you're going to imagine that your spine is a staircase. And this little miniature version of yourself is going to gently and slowly walk its way down this spiral staircase of your spine. And the further and further it walks down the spine, the more you feel like you're leaving the outer world behind. You're stepping further and further away from the fluctuations of the mind and the distractions of the physical body, and walking deeper and deeper within. You're drawn to the tailbone, drawn to the base of your spine. And at the base of the spine, there's a deep, dark cave with a warm fire in the center. You're going to walk towards the fire and take a seat. Begin to connect with being far, far away from the physical world. Far, far away from the thoughts. And deep inside this protective cave with a nice warm fire. Perhaps you curl up next to the fire and feel the fire's warmth. Maybe you can begin to imagine hearing the sounds of the embers crackling. As a thought or distraction comes in to pull your attention away from the flames of the fire, imagine writing it on a piece of paper and tossing it into the fire, and watching it be transformed into flame and ember and smoke, and slowly drifting away. actively think about some of our layers and imagine giving them to the fire. So imagine yourself standing up next to the fire. We're going to think about our layers as if they were articles of clothing that we were ready to peel off and offer to the fire. Not that we're tossing them in the fire to discard them, but to watch them transform and perhaps become a little lighter, a little less heavy on our soul. So think of the layer of the placement in your family that you are, whether you're sister, brother, uncle, father. Think of those layers, mother, daughter. Think of those layers, your placement in your family. And imagine peeling that layer off just for this moment and offering it to the fire, like an article of clothing, putting it into the flames, watch it transform and turn into smoke. And think about your layer of your societal placement, perhaps your job, the thing that you assign to yourself and label yourself as, lawyer, accountant, mother, whatever your job layer is. Imagine peeling that off and placing it in the fire and watching it transform. And think about your layer of your age. Imagine peeling that off, tossing it into the flames and watching it burn. And then think of the sentence, I am. Say it to yourself and notice what words come up afterwards. So say, I am. And whatever that sentence is ended with, imagine peeling off that layer and tossing it into the flames. And each time you say that sentence to yourself, notice what you finish it with. Maybe you finish it with a judgment or a label. I am short, I am tall. I am happy, I am sad. Whatever that ending word is, imagine just giving it to the flames, letting your body just give you information to let go of, to toss into the flames, to be transformed, to perhaps become a little bit lighter. See if you can get to the point where you can say I am and it becomes a complete sentence. I am. I am. Maybe you can begin to connect with the thought of being completely stripped of all your layers and resting in this warm, protective cave, as if taking a break from all of the layers from the physical world and just curling up in this warm, protective cave. And as the mind comes in and distracts and tries to pull you back up, Gently return to the words, I am. I am. And then from our protective cave at the base of our spine, we're going to imagine walking back up our spiral staircase slowly. And this time we're guided towards the heart center, the bliss center. And at the center of our heart, the center of our chest, there's another little cave, another protective cave. And this one is filled with that protective energy. And as we pull ourselves towards the heart center cave, find ourselves feeling more and more filled with unconditional love and warmth, kindness, protection, and connection to something perhaps a little bigger than just ourselves. And as you curl up in the heart center, perhaps even connecting to the sense of hearing the sound of your own heartbeat here in this protective space. Imagine bringing someone that might need some of this protection to this space to share it with. It can perhaps be a younger version of yourself or a future version of yourself, an ancestor that's been before. It can be a puppy. It can be a stranger that you've never met. You can bring an angel or a guide, an ancestor, whatever you can connect with, sharing this warm, protective, unconditional love space with. And as you begin to see this person here with you, enjoying this same protective space, the feeling of protection and bliss and unconditional love begins to multiply simply by sharing. See this little miniature version of yourself in this safe and protected space. See perhaps some joy on your face. See the person or the puppy, whoever you're sharing this space, having the same joy on their face.
Paint in the details as well as you can. And then as you prepare to leave this space, walk up your stairs back towards the mind. Notice that your layers are back on. If you're connecting with that concept of clothing, perhaps you just place the clothing back on as you're walking back up. And it feels a little lighter. Feels a little less weighted on your soul, a little easier to carry. And then we'll return to the center of the mind and begin a practice of rapid visualization, practicing the concept of allowing an image to come to mind, see it without judgment, observe it, and then let it pass by. See it, observe it, let it pass. So we'll begin with a single blade of grass. Bees flying around flowers. The dark side of the moon. Sand falling through fingers. Children playing. Far distant planet. Birds migrating. A mama bear and her cubs hibernating for the winter. A single light in a dark cave. A herd of elephants. The face of a mentor. The hands of someone you love. Dewdrops on a spider's web. Diving into the deep blue ocean. Sea turtles riding the waves. Standing on top of a vast mountain. A sacred temple. People gathered in prayer. Sitting in meditation. See yourself sitting in meditation. Observe yourself sitting in meditation. And before we return from this space of rest, have the opportunity to work with a mantra, perhaps when you're working with your truth vow. So it's a little sentence, a positive sentence, and you say it to yourself as if you already believe it true. Make it short, positive, and simple. For example, if I were to work with self-worth, I would say to myself, I am worthy. And I would say it in a way that I would to a dear friend. I am worthy. And perhaps you wish to just say with that sentence, I am, for a few more times. Say it as if your whole body, every cell is listening, ready to hear the message. And then as slowly and as gently as we went into this rest, begin to bring yourself back to the physical body, to the room that you're in. Begin to connect with perhaps the weight of the blanket or the feel of your clothing. If you're set up in that restorative pose, feel the pillow or the bolster against your stomach. Feel the weight of your body on the ground. Perhaps begin to notice the temperature of the air in the room. And then before becoming too cognitively alert and without thinking too hard about it, take a deep inhale and take a stretch in any way that your body feels it needs to move. As we take these long rests and let go of all that gripping in the body, it's a wonderful time to just reach and trust in your body's intuition to realign some bones and let some holding patterns go. So take a few little adjustments, take a few little stretches, trust in your body. Take that big deep breath in. Have you seen when they do the commercials on TV and somebody gets out of bed and they go, that's kind of what we naturally do. So just take that deep breath in and move in whatever way your body is calling to you. And then soften your eyes open as if blinking softly, peeking out, adjusting your eyes slowly back into the room. Taking your time to arrive back in present moment, back in this physical space. And come on up to a seated position, and we're going to warm our hands. So rub your hands together and make them nice and warm. Really, 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 really warm. And then place one on top of the other on the heart space. Doesn't matter which one's on top. Just feel your hands right in this center. So our bliss center. Connect to the warmth of your hands in this space. Feel the warmth of your hands. As if the warmth of your hands could soften and release any further tension, resting in around the chest and shoulders. And perhaps even soften some of those walls we build up around our heart center, our spirit, our soul. When we build up these walls, after experiences in our life, we build them up to protect ourselves from the outside world. And do a wonderful job of that, but they also prevent us from connecting within to this space. So imagine your walls softening. And there is this concept that to lead with an open heart, without these heart walls, is to lead with your chest open, believing nothing will ever go wrong. We lead with an open chest because we believe that when things go wrong, we have the strength to tune back in, connect back in, and get through. We know that we have a strong back. We have our own backs, therefore we can lead with an open heart. And before we end, I'm going to repeat an ancient mantra, my favorite translation. So these ancient words are supposed to be heard with this heart space more than with the cognitive head. So imagine you're still absorbing from this heart center. Om Namah Shivaya. With great respect and love, I honor my own heart. Om Namah Shivaya. With great respect and love, I honor my own heart. Om Namah Shivaya. With great respect and love, I honor my own heart. And finish your practice with your hands of prayer at heart space. Connecting again with bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, this gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. May your day be filled with moments of knowing that you have that spark within. And knowing that it's the spark within that connects to the spark within others, connects us to something greater than ourselves. That sense of awe, that sense of bliss, sense of connection, it is in within all of us. May we all know a little connection, a little kindness, and a little compassion. Thanks for joining us.